This week at Edison Motors, we need to clear some space to build some new office buildings. So this week, we are going to show you the entire log process from buncher all the way to board. All right, so I am here with Jaron from RGM, and we got about a quarter acre of land to clear. Normally, you would do that with hand falling. That is not the Edison way. We figured we don't do things half-assed, so we bought the biggest logging equipment show you could possibly have to clear this little bit. We're gonna show you how an entire logging operation works, from fella buncher to skidder to processor to log loader to trucking to sawmilling, because this is probably not only the most ridiculous logging operation, this is going to be the world's shortest turnaround from tree to logging to milling, because Travis's sawmill is right over there. The sawmill is 300 feet away, so we're gonna cut them here, truck them over to there, turn them into boards. Those boards are coming right back here and going to create the office building. So we are literally gonna use the trees from where the office is going to build the office.
This is our Tire Cat tilter feller buncher. It's specifically designed for cutting and falling trees on steep terrain in BC. It's got a hot saw head on it. This saw spins super fast, cuts through trees like butter. The machine has 2 tilting cylinders under the undercarriage that allows the machine housing itself to level up to like 26 degrees on a slope, so the operator is running throughout the day, sitting relatively flat on very difficult terrain.
So watching this machine in action, you can really see the efficiency of the feller buncher. As he's going, he's opening that top set, grabbing a tree as the bottom one closes around it, reopening. That efficiency is gained from being able to grab so many trees all at once, putting them all together in a bunch, twisting and rotating and setting them aside for the skidder. That's why this thing is so fast and smooth. And like, you can tell he is an experienced operator. This guy is fantastic. All right, so after the feller buncher cuts the trees down, next comes the skidder.
This is our rubber tire John Deere 948 skidder. It's like every kid's dream. It's like a giant monster truck that's armored and tough, except for without the fancy suspension, so super rough to ride in. But it's designed specifically to climb up super steep hills and rough terrain following the buncher, and using this big hydraulic grapple. It can wrap right around the bundles of big trees and pick them up, squeeze them, takes them down to the next step of the production line for the processor. Just like in any production line, in a factory or anything else, logging is very similar. If one guy doesn't do a nice job, it affects the whole line. So luckily, I was bunching myself, so I did a really nice job, knowing that I was gonna be in the skidder as well, so should make nice, quick, easy work of what we gotta do here. So we've got all the wood skidded up together. We're down here on the landing. We've got the wood put in a nice deck here beside the processor because it's the next step in the logging process. So Chase gave us some lengths that the mill guy wants. So we got 16-foot length at a 7.5-inch diameter top and 10-foot long logs with 4.5-inch diameter top. Some of these logs here you can see are a bit smaller and some bigger. So processor kind of sorts through, and that's in the operator's job with help of the processing head and all the information on the computer to select each tree and what we're going to do with it. I've got the processing head opened up here to show you guys a bit more of what it entails. There's a lot going on. It's pretty busy to look at, but it's quite simple. These are our grab arms. That's what's reaching down into the pile and grabbing each tree. They then close up along with these feed roll wheels that are got these sharp metal teeth on them. There's 4 wheels, the 2 outers and the 2 inners. That's what drives our tree through the head back and forth. Right below it, we have our butt saw. So it is a hydraulic powered chainsaw, pretty much, just a lot bigger scale. It cuts off the butt of our tree. We then feed the tree through. Our nice handy measuring wheel here then turns on the tree. It measures our length of the tree, puts it into the computer based on RPM of that wheel. We then can cut the top of the tree off with the top saw there. It's a bit smaller than the butt saw, and yeah, quite simple, but really handy for what we're trying to do. Okay, let's do it. This thing's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited. See you guys in 20 minutes. Yeah, let's get into this pile. Wanted to walk you guys through processing here a little bit from inside the cab, my point of view. So here I just grabbed a smaller pine tree, which is like most of the trees we're getting here. So when I look at the tree, I'm looking at this computer here. I got my length, my diameter, species. The head does not tell me, so I'm using my own eyes and judgment. So if I put it to 16 feet, the diameter is too small for the 16-foot length, so I'm going to put it back to 10 feet, and it is going to make the diameter that they want. And then just keep pumping out the 10-footers until too small. And then what I'm doing, so that we're not wasting any wood here, is just making kind of what we would call pulp. So just our waste wood from the tops that usually goes to a pulp mill to make paper products. Here's a bigger one. We should be able to get a 16 out of it. See, so the interesting thing about these computers is they're not always perfect. That said, it was a 6.2-inch diameter top, but I know from my own eyes and judgment and experience that it was definitely more like a 7.5-inch top. So I cut it to the other length, and that's where these heads, they're great, but they can't be perfect, and it's going to take a long time before we can have completely autonomous processors, because you still need that human factor to make those judgment calls when the technology gets out of whack. So as you can see, as I'm processing here, these trees are a little smaller, so my arms aren't moving too much, but on an average day, there's a lot of fatigue in this machine. Well, all machines there is, but processing is definitely one of them, where you're moving your arms a lot, and your fingers have buttons on both sides. So the fingertip has a button in front of the nail and in front of your finger bed. So your hand fatigue throughout a 12 or 14-hour day for an operator is quite extreme, and over years and years of operating, there can be a lot of issues from that. So we quite often see that the logging industry is pushing more autonomous functions in the processors as possible. So there would be less button pressing pretty much. But as of now, we gotta push a lot of buttons.
If you guys want to check out some really, really awesome videos, make sure you check out RGM's Holding Instagram if you want to see what some BC logging equipment can do. Next coming up though, we gotta bring the log loader over, get these things onto the truck and get them trucked over to the mill so Travis can process them.
So Chase is in there in the loader. I gotta back this truck up so that he can pick the pup off the lead trailer.
All right, so the next stage in logging comes moving the logs from the bush over to the sawmill. So that's what we're doing here. Luckily, now we have our own log loader. If you remember, we bought this log loader because we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars doing the building demolition by just buying our own machine. Now we get to use it to load our own trucks up. All right, so now it's time for me to load the truck here. Luckily, this is what I have been good at. So we got our one bunk of logs loaded onto the trailer. Now we're gonna get it over to Travis to process. And with that, I guess we are done with our log loader. Now, we bought it, we're gonna sell it, so the log loader is now currently for sale, probably on Facebook Marketplace. If you are in BC, Alberta, and you need a cat log loader, try looking on Marketplace. This has actually been a pretty good machine. If you guys remember, we did a fair bit of work, new rollers, new sprockets, we changed out a hydraulic cylinder, we swapped over some of the hydraulic lines, really fixed this machine up, and I gotta say, she's been a pretty good machine. She hasn't really had any breakdowns for us. We've probably put 150, 200 hours on it, just doing cleaning, cleanup work, building demolition. So yeah, we don't need it anymore, but if you want it, come take a look at Golden BC on Facebook Marketplace and see if this log loader is available. All right, now we have trucked the logs all the way from that blue warehouse to right here. Travis is unloading them. Next, we're gonna show you what happens once he gets them into the sawmill right there. Let's see how a log gets turned into a board.
Yeah, hi, I'm Travis Cochran with Kinbasker Resources. We operate the log sort yard and the sawmill here on site with Edison. And I've been here 9 years, and we just brought some logs in from some logs that Edison had taken from their property. We brought them down, unloaded them with the log loader, and now we're putting them on the infeed. What we do, we'll buck the logs to length, and then we manually roll them. This is a manual sawmill, so it's just got like hand dogs to hold the log in place, and we still roll them by hand. So I'll roll the log in, I set it for sweep, and I get it ready to go to the saw. So once we got it set how I want it, I'm gonna cut a little bit of sweep out of it. We take a couple of cuts off that side, we rotate it 180 degrees, and we take a couple cuts on the other side. So today we're taking these down to 6-inch. They're 2x6 and 1x6. So I take it down to 6-inch, and then we turn that down, which is called a cant. We take that cant, we slice that into whatever we want to do. So we run it through we feed it through the mill, and it comes out on the tail end, and the tail sawyer puts the slabs into the waste conveyor, and the other stuff runs down the roll case. That'll be to get piled at the end of the chain. We do a lot of custom cutting here. We do timbers, we do live edge slabs. We make T&G, shiplap, trim, sometimes S4S, which is basically just 4 sides planed. So we do mostly that and we pretty much supply to local customers. To get a hold of me, it's traviscochran@outlook.com. You can find us at Kinbasker Resources Corp on Instagram. We are operating in the Donald Yard. If you've got a gardening project, you need mulch, we've got lots of that. Just come down to the site, you can follow the signs, and you'll find us down here. We can help you out if you want to look around, if you want to take some samples home, we can do that too.
So we got a cool example here of something that came out of the mill. What do we got?
This is a glue lamb that used to be in the planer building, the planer building you guys took down last winter. So this was one of the upright center posts, and it was nice and dry. So we took it, we got all the hardware off, and it started off looking like one of these. So we essentially cut 3 strips, a 3-inch out of it. They're 28 wide by 3 inches deep, and it's going to be for a local business bar top.
That's really, really cool, because this would make a good boardroom table or something like that. And it's cool to see a use of that old shop we tore down. Everyone was wondering, what are you guys going to be doing to those big glue lamps? You're wasting them, you're getting rid of them. You're like, no, we can turn them into something like this, like a boardroom table, a bar top right here on the property.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. If you got the imagination, we can figure it out. Our mill is set up a little different than a lot of the local mills. We're able to cut up to 36.5 feet long. And I can cut 23 by 23. That's the biggest square I can make. So that's a monstrous piece of wood. But
basically, you know, almost 2 foot by 2 foot by 38 feet long.
Yeah, we can do that.
That nobody can do that.
Nobody can do that. We're pretty much the only ones around.
It was funny. We were talking about one of the architects building our new office building. And we're like, yeah, it'd be real nice to span it with one big beam. He's like, no, nobody can make a 30-foot wooden beam. I'm like, we can make that right on site. What do you mean? So we just ran the logs through the saw there. What happens after this?
Well, now we're gonna sticker them, and so we can get airflow, and we'll take it over to the kiln. So now we've prepped this wood to go in the kiln. It's all been stickered. We've got a 1-inch gap in between everything, and that's just for airflow. So we put the charge onto the transfer, we push it in. Amanda's just hooking up probes right now so we can monitor the internal temperature and moisture content. Once we have it all ready, we turn a set of fans on, just circulates air through the unit. And then we go to the other end and we fire it up. We set all the controls to how we want to dry this charge. So we're just about ready to go. A wet charge like this is probably going to be 3 to 4 days. And the kiln runs around the clock. And we set the parameters of the controller. So we control the amount of heat, the amount of moisture, how fast it dries, and like the rate that we bring the moisture down. So the idea is we want to get this thing down to about 9% moisture content internally. The one thing we don't want to do is over dry it because we get end checks on the wood and the wood will warp and twist. So we got to make sure that we get it down. We usually start with an initial dry that takes us down to 20%. Then we reset the computer and then we take it down again. But we just want to get the real heavy amount of moisture out of the unit as fast as we can. So this thing, the way it runs, if it gets really steamy inside, you can look at the back, there's a fan at the back in that corner. When it senses that there's too much moisture, that fan kicks on. And when it does, it opens up a set of louvers on the side here. And what it'll do is it'll evacuate all the excess steam out of the unit so that it allows the temperature to keep climbing. Because the temperature won't get up to its max temperature until all the moisture is gone. So we've got a few things built into this that work pretty well. Our kiln works really well for 1 and 2 inch. The smaller you can break a log down, the easier it is to dry, the more that it releases the moisture out of the log. So we generally, because we're running the molder and we do lots of T&G and shiplap and trim and stuff like that, we want to take it down as small as we can. So 1 inch is what we're doing right now, and we'll go and set the computer. Yeah, let's go to the other end. So this is the controller, and this is a dehumidifier. So we turn it on. This shows what mode we're in, and if I go through the selection, it'll give me the configuration, which probes we're using, which ones we're not, and then right now we're 125 and 105. So that's wet bulb and dry bulb temperatures, and then we're set for a final moisture of 9 right now. This is also wood group number 2. That's for softwoods. We're just going to let it do its thing. So we'll let the thing come up to temperature and then we'll readjust it. So this is our molder. This has got 7 heads on it, and we can set it up for different configurations. Right now we're doing 1x4 T&G with a beveled edge on it, a V groove. We can do some different widths, and we can do shiplap joint, and we can do a penny gap T&G. We can also just plane the boards, just plain 4 sides. So, but it'll only do up to 8 inches wide. So right now we're set on 1x4. We got a bunch of 1 inch that's got to go through. As soon as our charge is done in the kiln, then it'll come over here and we'll run it through and then out to the customer. On the molder, this is the bottom head here. This takes a little plane off the bottom to start. And this one on the side is an initial plane. It just makes a little bit of a square edge for it to ride on the guide. And that just gets it prepped to go through the main head. So this head here is our T&G. This is our left hand and right hand head. So these are the profilers for the type of joint that we're making. As it goes through, it comes to here, and this is the finish head that planes the top. So as you can see on the out feed here, where it's coming out, the boards come through here, and then the drive rolls are pulling everything through, and it's been profiled, and then it goes out and piled.
All right, and then this is the finished product, eh?
Yeah, you betcha. This is a little bit of pine, a little bit of fir, a little bit of cedar. So, just a mix of species there. So it comes out pretty nice. It starts off kind of a rough looking board, but who doesn't want to have a pile of this at home?
Yeah, it's pretty convenient. You say you very well sell all of this locally, eh?
We sell pretty much exclusively to locals. So, if guys need anything, you can come down, but you guys have projects?
We do. We're going to have to build our new shop for the engineers. They're getting a little crowded in that old office above the truck shop. So, the fall or early next year, we're going to be building the new office building. So we'll be coming to you for a bunch more wood.
Yeah, we'll get some wood for you. It'll look good.
There you go, and that is basically the entire process from logging, processing, trucking, milling, finishing. dry kilns, and that is how you do everything with probably the world's shortest logging operation, from buncher where you could see it working right there to right here.
The cycle time was pretty short on that haul.
That was a short cycle.